What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rant slow hate. Let me read something from Badu Jack. Here's a tweet from Badu Jack saying, I won't be fighting Canelo next. They said the weight difference is too much. They want to drain the old man and fight me 20 pounds under the cruiserweight limit for the title. Plus a rehydration clause. Canelo, let's give the fans what they want to see and fight David Benavidez. I couldn't agree more. I mean, at least David Morrell. But the choices of him possibly picking Charlo would simply be because Charlo hasn't fought in 2 fucking years. So, whether Charlo would decide to catch weight or fully 168, I don't know. But this is beautiful that Badu Jack did not take this fight for that reason. Explain this to you. You see, the powers that be become complacent with playing dictator and doing things that they want to do. So when they have their favorite fighters that they will pull strings for, well, it becomes the natural order of things. And even more than half of you punk-ass content creators out there will sit there and bow to what Canelo says or Tyson Fury says. Nah, you don't turn that down. Nah, you go for it. Because y'all suckers and y'all would. You sell your fucking soul. Badu Jack knows 20 pounds below the weight limit, but for my cruiserweight title. Why is my cruiserweight title on the line when we're not fighting fully at cruiserweight? So, I don't hear a bunch of Canelo fans saying, damn, Canelo, what are you doing? This is embarrassing. You guys had a lot to say about Tank Davis for 1 pound. 1 pound. This guy wants 20. Wait. He wants 20 pounds under the cruiserweight limit, plus the rehydration clause. And y'all think that's fair because the cash cow says so. Maybe Badu will make other people say, you know what? Yeah, I'm not falling for nothing like that either. It's a payday, but you go in there and get your brains beat halfway out because you just simply weren't ready. You weren't prepared properly. You were trained. I don't hear any Canelo fanboys talking shit about Canelo for this bullshit. But you had so much to say about Tank. He just beat Ryan's ass, and then Ryan made excuses afterwards about he was drained and blah, blah, blah. He started it off. Why are you trying to drain me? Nah. You had no problem fighting anyone else at 135, but when it came to Tank, you wanted to go to 140, where people tried to flip it around. Nah, Tank knew what he was trying to do. He knew that. It's common sense. Let's say you fight at 135. You have an opponent that walks around like, let's say 150. So him coming down, he has some pounds to burn. But imagine someone that walks around fighting at 135, but walks around like 180, 175. That's a lot of weight. So come fight night, he's going to be way bigger. He's going to be in there fighting down there light heavyweight. Okay? Basically. So, he knew what he was trying to do. And Tank said, no, I'm not going for that shit either. I got something for your ass. I know what you're trying to do. But no, of course, fanboys want to flip it. Nah. A guy 5'5", don't walk around no more than 140, 145. Fighting a guy that walks around 30 pounds heavier than him. Yeah, y'all don't see that. Well, hopefully for for other people, they see what Badu did. Now, people can talk all this, if Badu was confident, why did he back out? No. Negotiations have to be right. Why the hell does he have to? Who the fuck is Canelo? Canelo's a human being just like Badu Jack. So why does Badu have to be forced into something? Badu didn't ask to fight Canelo. This was something Canelo was daring to be great, right? Yeah. Well, if he was daring to be great, then he would have went in there and not pulled the weight limit is too much. Well, how about this? We already know that Dimitri Bivol has nothing to prove to you fighting at 175. He really doesn't have anything to prove at 168, but he knows he'll beat your ass and take your belts. That's not happening. So, no, he's not going to fight the other light heavyweight champion. No, he doesn't want to fight him. So he does what? He calls out Badu Jack. And from what we understood at the time that I heard about it, the fight was 90% done. No. So, since you don't want to do that, and you don't really want to fight anybody at light heavyweight, why don't you fight David Benavidez or fight David Morrell? We're tired of the excuse of him being a Mexican. Morrell's not, so what? So fight David Morrell. You don't want to fight Benavidez, but no. You need to man up, grow your balls back, and stop making these stupid-ass excuses about people wanting paydays, people having horrible resumes, people being a horrible fighter, but then you'll fight a John Ryder or anybody else that's not an A-class fighter, but a B- or something like that. That's what you do. Now, everybody else can hug your nuts and walk around and try to make it seem like Canelo just accomplished everything and he has nothing to prove. Well, there's no fighter who's still lacing up gloves that's holding titles that have nothing to prove. As I said before, if Canelo want to let his belts go and he want to play bouncing up and down in the weight and just choosing to fight random guys, then fine. But stop holding the division up. And this is one fighter who, no matter what the outcome of his fights are, it ends up being somehow Canelo's the victim of something. No different from Mauricio Suleiman saying Tyson Fury is the victim of current circumstances. He's a fighter that his fan base don't hold him accountable for his own actions. It's always some excuse. He has no legitimate reason to not fight David Benavidez. Imagine if you read the WBC rules and it said some shit like, under the WBC rules, the champion does not have to fight a fighter if they are of the same nationality. Or if the champion doesn't personally like you, he doesn't have to fight you. Or if the fighter, the champion, feels that your resume is horrible, he doesn't have to fight you. If you only fought one champion, then the fighter doesn't have to fight you. Because that's all the excuses he's been coming up with to not fight certain guys. And the fact of the matter is, if he goes up, if Charlo would be the guy that he calls out, and that would be his first fight back, none of you wouldn't say that shit wasn't fair. But you all made excuses for Canelo after the Triple G fight because he said he hurt his hand and then he comes back against Ryder. Okay. Well, I don't really personally care what happens. But as someone that loves fighting, watching combat sports and all that, it's like, and also watching, it's like this. If Canelo Alvarez ends up now, because there's no Bivol on the table, right? There's no Better Biev on the table. There's no longer, which nobody cared anyway, but there's no longer, this cruiserweight fight on the table. Then if he ends up skipping over Benavidez or Morrell just to go fight Berlanga, I'm not going to say I told you so, but I'm going to say I told you, motherfuckers. It doesn't matter. And it wasn't personally a Berlanga thing. It was looking at who's there versus who he doesn't want to fight. That's where I came up with Berlanga. And Berlanga had been talking some shit, so it's just like, yeah, because I don't see him fighting against Morrell or Benavidez. And since this has happened, Canelo hasn't said shit. So, for this, you want it 20 pounds below. 20 pounds below. Man, then if you can fucking do that, you can go to fucking 160 again and fight Charlo. And go try to take his belt at 160. Simple. You can do that shit. Because what I'm guaranteeing you he don't want to do, this will be considered a legacy fight with Charlo. And it'll be at a catch weight. And you know what he would say? Well, they took out a catch weight, so I don't see the reason to put my belt on the line because it's a catch weight. Well, why the fuck does Badu Jack need to put his belt on the line at a catch weight? Huh? Yeah. Now go ahead and say some dumb shit about Jamal Charlo wanting to fight at a catch weight when that's exactly what Canelo just tried to do. And he's talking 20 pounds under the weight class and a rehydration clause. Now go ahead and talk that shit about Jamal Charlo. Go ahead and talk that trash about anybody. Canelo did what you guys claim he never would do, even though he did have, I forgot who it was he fought at the catch weight, but it doesn't matter. If look, for a catch weight to be done to the point where, hey, it makes it easier for you to cut to this weight, it makes it easier for me to come up to that weight. It hurts us both if you have to lose too much or have to gain too much. That's the way, the fairness of a catch weight. But when you do some shit like this, come on, bro. Y'all can pretend all you want. You know, y'all can act like y'all don't see this shit all y'all want. But nah, I'm going to bring everything to the light that I see. Because this right here is nonsense. 20 pounds below. When have you ever heard of some bullshit like that? And a rehydration clause? Nah. And a 40-year-old Badu Jack on top of that? Nah. Badu went to cruiserweight for a reason, right? So now you want to get him. I mean, what's the purpose? What's the purpose? Now, I don't know exactly what weight Badu comes in at. I know that the weight limit is 200. But I would guess he's up in at 190-ish. You know, up in that, you know. But bottom line, regardless, what's the purpose? Nobody questions anything Canelo does. Canelo says something, it's okay, it's done because Canelo wants it. Nah. So maybe people will stop bowing down and giving in for some money and learn. You know, for you to go in there and probably get beat the fuck up just because you are a drained fighter, what sense does that make? Just for somebody else to have their hand raised. And the history books doesn't say, hey man, he had this man come in 20 pounds below the weight limit. He won a cruiserweight title without fighting that cruiserweight. Okay? You can't go to the heavyweights and say, hey, Tyson Fury, you can't come in at 270 something. You got to come in at 250. There's no such thing as a super heavyweight division in boxing. So, no, you can't do that, right? You have to go in there and fight whatever your weight is. So they have this bullshit Bridgerweight division who nobody talks about. And the only person I even hear mentioning Bridgerweight is Hassan Rahman Jr. But at the end of the day, just saying, when you are in a position, and think about my point, because as a heavyweight, you could be 225. Somebody you fight, look at Jarrell Miller. This dude comes in the ring 300 pounds. So you can be way smaller. If you can't handle the weight, don't take your ass up to that division. That's just the way I see it. Now, you put a stipulation in and the person accepted, well, you can't say anything because that person did not have to accept, he didn't have to accept the, you know, the 20 pounds below, the rehydration clause and all that. So once you accept it, that's on you. You know, so at the end of the day, I hope that what this does is it opens people's eyes, like I said, to stop selling their soul, to go in there and get slapped around to say, I got some money. You know, when fights, the money will come. You know, everybody's not going to have the same fortune, and that's true. But, I mean, that's some desperate shit. And I love the fact that he threw in there, hey, give everybody what they want and fight Benavidez. Badu Jack is trying to be as nice as he possibly can about the situation. But even by him saying that, it's like, there you go. Let him know. Because Badu Jack knows the truth. Just what the fuck Aries was saying. Nobody wanted to see no fucking Canelo versus Badu Jack. And he understood, okay, this motherfucker's trying to drain me, get his hand raised because I'm just not right. And then Canelo was so, oh my God, this guy is the GOAT. He just became cruiserweight champ. Nobody's going to fucking, like I said, the history books doesn't say Badu Jack was drained. No, it just says Canelo defeats Badu Jack. Whether knockout or whether decision, referee stoppage, TKO, whatever. Towel thrown, whatever it may be, that's all it says is that Canelo wins. But nobody looks at the specifics of what happened. So, no, I'm glad Badu Jack did what he did. Good for him. And, you know, for Canelo, for y'all that support that diva-ass mentality, well, birds of a feather flock together, and that's all that is. That's disgraceful. He wants to fight everybody except for the fights that the fans want to see. But he's the same one. I don't care. I fight anybody. No bullshit, like I said in the last video. No, you're the one putting limitations on who you fight. So don't tell us you'll fight anybody, because you won't fight anybody. And I don't give a fuck about Eddie Hearn saying that, oh, but Canelo will fight anybody. Or Mauricio Suleiman saying that Tyson Fury would fight anybody. No, they show you with their actions. So I don't care what they tell you behind closed doors. The reality is, the business side of boxing has been corrupt. And that's what people cater to more. So when it comes to your health being intact and you being in the fight at 100%, if you're such a fucking, like, you're so used to getting your knees dirty, y'all know what I'm saying, then at the end of the day, what can you complain about when things don't go your way? Because if you'll take that type of nonsense, then you deserve whatever they do to you. Simply because you're putting yourself in a position just for some money. That could be detrimental to your health. So why would you do that? Why would you end up a paraplegic, brain dead somewhere, you know, just to say, I fought this guy, and people saying, hey man, you know, he was a true warrior, salute to this guy. That's not bringing your health back. And like I said, Canelo can't give anybody any actual reasons. Nobody pressures Canelo. When I've seen commentators asking questions, that's the last time, you know, I ain't going to go, I getting mad. And yeah, you're getting mad because they're asking you questions that you know you're lying about. That's why you were getting mad. You like to tell people this is what it's going to be. That's it. No questions. No. Whatever you say, King Canelo. Nah. When somebody give you the fuck you, no. Why aren't you doing X, Y, Z? He gets mad. Of course. Of course. When your sheep talks to you, whatever you say is law. Explain that. Why would you try to get... What type of arrogance do you think? Like, what type of arrogance do you have that make you feel like you can just make people do shit like that? And if Badu Jack would have went for that okie doke, there's no telling what the future would hold. So, again, hopefully Badu Jack opened some eyes up, man. I wouldn't have took that shit. Why? Everybody shit for the kind of money he paid. Nah, fuck that, man. You go in there and get ragged all around because you're in there half fucking dead and wind up getting killed in the ring. Next thing you know, the next thing that your kids see of you is, you know, them sitting there counting to 10 for you before the next fight starts because your dumb ass went in there thinking, hey, fuck this, for this money, I'm a... No. Fuck that, man. There's more than one way to sell your soul, and in boxing, that's just one of the ways that people do it. Now, what I would like to see is for somebody to say, Canelo, cut the shit. Fuck all this Mexican shit. Why don't you want to fight Benavidez? Benavidez is Mexican. That's not stopping him from wanting to fight you. And don't come with that, I know, you don't want to pay that, I know. Don't come with that shit. Why don't you want to fight him? Why don't you want to fight Morrell? And if it's true that you are actually trying to negotiate with Charlo, why after a 2-year layoff is now all of a sudden you want Charlo? Right? Now, Charlo don't have to be his first fight back, but if that's what he agrees to, then that's on Charlo. But my point, that's what I would like to see people do. Why don't you want to fight Benavidez? You got to give us something. Hey, okay, so you're Mexican. Okay, that doesn't stop him from wanting to punch you in the face. He's Mexican. That's your reason? You just don't want to fight Mexicans? Okay, then don't say you'll fight anybody, because you won't. He don't like the fact that people saying he's scared. Remember, Canelo said he was a troublemaker back in the day. He was a bully. He said that, remember? Yeah. So now, him being in the financial position that he's in, the status that he has in boxing, yeah, he's used to people kissing his ass. So when you don't kiss his ass, he has his little tantrums. Why can't I have my way? Why can't I get my way? Yeah, he gets mad. He doesn't want to talk to reporters anymore. You're giving people bullshit answers. That's why. That's why. And they don't want to burn a bridge because they always want to get that exclusive interview. Everybody want to be the first one. It is what it is. Canelo don't want to fight Benavidez. He's not confident that he can beat Benavidez. It's as simple as that. He's not confident that he'll beat Morrell. It's as simple as that. And you want to know what the beauty of it is? They're both young, and neither one of them have 30 fights yet. He fought Floyd and had 40-something fights. Yeah, way more fights. Yeah, more amateur fights and everything. So guess what? There's no excuse. Devin Haney walking around here undisputed, just turned 24 years old. Teofimo Lopez was unified. You know, all these different fighters that, you know, Shakur Stevens, these guys, they're not sitting there making excuses about their ages. Keyshawn Davis is trying to have smoke with everybody. He's only 24 years old. All of a sudden, when it comes to Canelo, it's excuse central for everything. And this dude had the nerve to show you how much John Ryder sucks as a fighter. This dude had the nerve, and I don't care how much you like John Ryder as a person. I don't give a fuck about, oh, he's a family man. He's a very nice person. Yeah, that has nothing to do with it. This man went and made a whole video studying Floyd, the Floyd fight, and talking about Floyd and how you want to rematch Floyd. And the motherfucker standing across the ring from you come fight night is a guy named John Ryder. And that's what the fuck Canelo did. Nobody gave a fuck about no John Ryder. And that's how much of a sucky fight he knew that was. He didn't even talk about John Ryder. He's talking about Floyd fucking Mayweather. Standing there watching the screen of him getting his ass whooped by Floyd and trying to tell everybody how he's way better now than he was then. His prime will beat Floyd's prime. Blah, 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 blah. How your prime gonna beat Floyd prime? When Floyd wasn't even in his prime and he kicked your ass then. He wasn't even in his prime anymore, but he was still great enough to beat your ass, and that's what he did. And everybody else that got in the ring with him. So how in the fuck is your prime better than his prime? Stupid shit, man. Stupid. But that's what he did. And y'all nut huggers sat there and let him get away with that shit. Because all y'all do is King Canelo, whatever you say. Yo, good for you, Badu Jack. Let him know you're not selling your soul. And Canelo, let's see what your response is going to be when people ask you, why don't you really want to fight Benavidez? Benavidez need to turn up on this motherfucker. That's what you need to do. Put him in a position. Canelo, just tell the truth. You're scared to fight me. Because you know I'll beat you. Nah, because if you play nice with Canelo, you're not going to get your way. If you don't play nice, you still might not get your way. But his pride going to be so hurt that he might end up in a position where he has no choice. Because I think that Benavidez is the WBC mandatory, and I think that Morel, I think, is the WBA or WBO, one of them. Anyway, but those are his two mandatories. Put that pressure on him and make that motherfucker either put up or shut up. Otherwise, you're going to be in the same situation as Jamal Charlo and other fighters where y'all waiting, trying to get this fight, Demetrius Andre, and then it never happens. You see what happens. Nobody believes Demetrius Andre and Jamal Charlo are going to fight into that unless it actually happens. Where press conference date, then you, okay, until that happens, nobody cares about the conversation. And that's exactly where you'll find yourself with Canelo. And the first thing Canelo is going to use as an excuse and his fans is, oh, he got old. So if you start putting pressure on him, do it now. Otherwise, you're not going to get that fight. You might have to go after Morel yourself. Get rid of Morel if you can, or Morel get rid of you, however it goes. And then, hey, okay, I beat him. What's up? You understand what I mean? So put that pressure on him. Because if he relinquishes his title to not fight Benavidez, y'all can talk all that, oh, how many times he won the belt? No, I don't care. That's a sucker's move. He's ducking regardless. I'm just wanting to see if he's going to grow a set and get back in there and say, fuck that, man. I've been slipping. I owe the fans this shit. I owe it to myself to come in here and do this shit. This man is, nah, he's done nothing. He only beat one champion. Wow. How many champions have John Ryder beat? Huh? How many multi-titles have he held? How many weight classes have he been champion in? Just saying. Yeah. Practice what the fuck you preach. Talk to me in the comment section, y'all. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.